Discover the incredible journey of a thirsty puppy. How he revealed amazing lessons in life. On a blistering Midwestern day, the sun blasted down on the cracked sidewalks of a small town teetering on the brink of despair. Among the weary storefronts where dust danced in the heat, a scrappy little puppy named Benny staggered, thirsting for more than just water. His fur, a motley blend of browns and whites, clung to his skinny frame as he padded through the abandoned streets, the echo of his tiny paws a sweet reminder that not all was lost. Benny was more than just a puppy. He was a spirit of hope in a place longing for a reason to believe. As Benny wandered, he felt a pang of sadness each time he passed the shut doors of a once bustling cafe or an empty playground that once rang with laughter. But he didn't slow down. He couldn't afford to. The sun was unrelenting, and neither could he allow himself to surrender to thirst. With every step, he dreamed of a bowl filled to the brim and a warm spot under the cool shade of a welcoming tree. Then he caught a whiff of something tantalizing. Following his nose, he stumbled into the back alley of a diner, where workers were tossing scraps. Suddenly Benny's little heart raced. Adrenaline surged through him, igniting a spark of determination. This was his moment. As he dove for a piece of bread, he barely noticed the cafe's bright sign flickering in the background. This town, though struggling, was still alive. Meanwhile, Kelly rushed through the streets, her heart heavy with the weight of her worries. Balancing 2 jobs and a young son, she barely had time to breathe, let alone dream. Jake needed new shoes for school, groceries for the week, and all she could offer was her love. One searing afternoon as she rushed home, something caught her eye. There was Benny wrestling with an old sandwich, and as he looked up with those big, hopeful eyes, her heart melted just a little. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue as Kelly reluctantly granted Benny a place in her already crowded world. She buried the guilt and annoyance that had first bubbled to the surface. It wasn't long before Benny's charm began to weave through the tight fabric of their lives, making rough edges a bit softer. Jake adored him, and for a moment, they were a real family, a trio basking in the joys of puppy mischief and love. But when the annual pet parade was announced, an unsettling weight settled in Kelly's stomach. They couldn't afford the entry fee. Still, that puppy's glimmering eyes ignited something deep inside her. Then one fateful day, a crisis unfolded. A child stumbled toward the street, unaware of the approaching vehicle. In a flash, Benny sprang forward, an instinctual act that echoed through the tight-knit community. As the townsfolk witnessed his heroism, something shifted. Now Benny wasn't just a puppy, he was a beacon of hope. Watching the townsfolk rally around Benny, a whirl of emotions surged within Kelly. Could this little dog really rescue them all? But just then, an old figure from her past materialized, asking questions about choices and sacrifices she never dared to confront. Tension crackled in the air, leaving the future hanging in the balance. Could Benny spark the change they all desperately needed? Would they discover that courage could mend hearts and ignite dreams once thought lost? The answers lingered just out of reach, waiting to unfold. Kelly stood frozen, the sun shining yet again on the cracked pavement, casting shadows that danced with uncertainty. The figure from her past, old Mr. Thompson, who had once run the hardware store, had changed little since she last saw him. The lines on his face seemed deeper, carrying burdened memories. "What are you doing here?" she finally asked, her voice heavy with the weight of unspoken words. "I came back to see if there was anything left of this town," he replied, glancing around at the fading signs and empty storefronts. His eyes settled on Benny, who lay in the dirt, chewing contentedly on a ragged toy. "That little pup seems to have sparked a bit of joy, though." Kelly's heart twisted at the sight. Benny, the beacon of hope, had managed to break through the clouds of despair that had rolled over this town, even reaching her fractured heart. A sliver of a smile broke across her face, but it faded as the reality of her situation sank back in. "You don't understand, Mr. Thompson. Hope isn't enough when there are bills piling up and responsibilities I can't leave behind," she said, glancing toward her son Jake, who played with Benny in the distance, laughter ringing like a nostalgic melody. "Sometimes it takes less to reignite the flame," he said softly, his words stirring something deep within her. "You just have to believe that change is possible. You don't have to do it alone." Before she could respond, a commotion erupted from the direction of the diner. A small crowd gathered, and the sound of excited chatter filled the air. Kelly felt her pulse quicken as she and Mr. Thompson made their way to the source. There was Benny again, bounding and leaping about as if he owned the world. Jake was there too, holding a poster in his small hands, grinning from ear to ear. As newcomers arrived, they could hear excited whispers fill the air. "Did you hear? They're putting on a fundraiser for the pet parade," Jake exclaimed, his eyes shining like the stars. "And all the money will go to the animal shelter. It means we can enter Benny. It'll be so much fun." Kelly's heart soared then crashed. A fundraiser? How could they afford it? She wanted to say no, to snatch the poster from her son's hands, to protect him from the disappointment that could follow. But then Benny barked, prancing around the children, and her thoughts tangled with the joy surrounding her. Mr. Thompson placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "This is the lifeblood of a community, Kelly. Let them believe. Let them rally around something good for a change." Kelly's mind spun. Could this little puppy actually pull them all together? The thought quivered in her chest, a radical idea that felt both terrifying and thrilling. But what if Benny's spirit was the spark they needed? What if this was the beginning of something transformational? As she struggled with the possibilities, Benny raced past her, his tail a blur of excitement. That simple joy tugged at something within her. Maybe, just maybe, it was possible for them to find a way. But just as hope began to ignite, something unexpected came crashing into her moment. A car pulled up, and from it stepped a figure who bore a striking resemblance to the parent of a childhood rival. An icy chill washed over Kelly. Was she ready to confront the past she had long buried? Especially with everyone around her watching? Suddenly, everything seemed to hinge on this moment. Would this be an opportunity to break free from her past? Or would it chain her to old wounds? The answer felt close, yet it danced just out of reach, much like Benny chasing butterflies in the park. Would the love for a spirited puppy lead them all to a new horizon? Or would the weight of secrets hold them back once more? The tension hung thick in the air, and Kelly could feel her heart racing. The newcomer, a woman with a familiar smirk and sharp features, leaned against the car, surveying the scene. It was Melanie, Jake's mother, the one person from Kelly's past she'd hoped to avoid. Memories of schoolyard competitions and mean-spirited rivalries flooded back like a rising tide, threatening to pull her under. The chatter around the fundraiser faded into an echo, replaced by the pounding of her own pulse. Jake, oblivious to the undercurrents, continued to beam at Benny, who wagged his tail in enthusiastic response to the children around him. The world felt both vibrant and suffocating. "What is she doing here?" Kelly muttered to Mr. Thompson, her voice barely above a whisper. His eyes narrowed slightly, but he kept his expression calm. "Maybe it's time for some truths," he replied. His tone suggested that she had more to gain than lose. But Kelly wasn't so sure. She clenched her fists at her sides, grappling with the familiar urge to retreat. The fear of judgment mixed with the hope that this event could be something beautiful for the town left her feeling torn. "Look," Jake called. "Benny wants to join the fun." He tugged on Kelly's arm, directing her attention back to their playful puppy. For a moment, it felt as if the laughter of the children and Benny's irreplaceable spirit wrapped around her like a soft blanket of comfort. But Melanie's presence loomed over her like a storm cloud. "What are you doing back in this dump?" Melanie's voice was sharp, cutting through the laughter like a knife. Kelly's heart sank. Every emotion she thought she had buried began to bubble to the surface. She could almost hear the whisper of her past, the echoes of insults and rivalry. Yet she needed to stand strong for Jake, for Benny, and maybe even for herself. "I live here now," she replied, surprising herself with the steadiness in her voice. "And I'm helping make this town better one step at a time." Melanie laughed, a high mocking sound. "Oh really? By entering a pet parade? You think that's enough?" The laughter around them began to dim as some children glanced awkwardly between the two women. Kelly could feel their eyes judging her, the whispers rising like a tide. But instead of sinking, something strange happened inside her. A flame flickered, igniting the courage she hadn't known she had. Actually, it is, Kelly said, her voice ringing with renewed confidence. You see, hope can start small. Just like Benny here. Sometimes you need to rally for what matters. Jake stepped forward, staring up at Kelly with wide eyes filled with admiration. Yeah, Benny makes everyone happy. Who wouldn't he want to join a parade for him? In that moment, as she looked down into her son's earnest face, everything changed. The weight of Melanie's words crumbled away, replaced by a surge of maternal pride. Kelly could feel the warmth of community enveloping her children laughing, parents watching, and even Mr. Thompson nodding in approval. Melanie's face faltered just a moment before her expression hardened again. But this time, Kelly didn't want to dwell on it. She had something more significant to focus on. Are you going to join us? She asked, a challenge laced in her voice. For just a heartbeat, she struggled to hold her breath, waiting for Melanie to respond. Would she hurl another insult? Would she walk away, leaving Kelly's past to haunt her? A small laugh broke free, one that Kelly recognized as genuine. It wasn't Melanie, but it was Mr. Thompson. The laughter breaking through the tension like sunlight through clouds. That's the spirit. A little competition doesn't hurt, as long as we remember the joy we're trying to spread. The crowd started to stir again, the energy shifting back to the fundraiser. Kelly felt hope surge within her once more. This was a battle she could win, not just for herself but for all of them. As they set to organize plans for the parade, she couldn't help but wonder. If Benny could tangibly mend hearts, what else could the community achieve? Was this truly a fresh start, or just a band-aid on a deeper wound? Little did she know, the chapters of their lives were just beginning to unfold. But one thing was certain: she was ready to face whatever came next, even if it meant standing up to that specter of the past. The car engine roared to life, and as Melanie turned to leave, her parting words hung ominously in the air. You'll regret this. A chill ran down Kelly's spine, but as she watched Benny chase after a butterfly, full of determination, she knew she wouldn't look back without a fight. What storm was about to descend upon them, and could they weather it together? The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows that softened the edges of the fundraiser. The laughter of children echoed, a comforting reminder of innocence in a world often too harsh. Kelly stood in the midst of it, a heart full of hope and fear, clinging to the buoyant spirit of Benny. He twirled and chased the butterflies with a joy that seemed infectious. Yet Melanie's taunt lingered in the air like a dark cloud. Kelly's chest tightened as she followed Benny, her mind racing with thoughts. Would she truly regret standing for her beliefs? Was she inviting more trouble into her life? Mom, look at Benny. Jake's excitement snapped her back to the present. He was kneeling, beckoning for Benny to come back. His laughter rang out, a melody that brought a swell of warmth to Kelly's heart. She knelt beside him, watching her son's delight. Isn't he perfect? Jake bubbled. He's going to be the best parade dog ever. Yes, he is, she said, her voice steady but her mind still battling doubt. Around them, parents chatted, snacking on treats set up at various booths. Mr. Thompson was working with volunteers to organize the event logistics, shouting out directions, and encouraging everyone to pitch in. The atmosphere was vibrant and alive, yet beneath it, she felt a current of tension that made her skin prickle. A few glances were thrown her way, some curious, some judgmental. Kelly clenched her teeth. She had fought too hard to build a new life here. Why let Melanie's shadow overtake her now? As Benny ran in circles, Kelly took a deep breath, drawing in courage from her surroundings. This is about more than just us, she murmured to herself. Suddenly, Melanie reappeared, her figure commanding attention. The crowd seemed to hush as she approached. Kelly steeled herself, heart pounding. Could this be the moment of reckoning? Don't think you can just waltz back in and make this place your playground. Melanie's voice was razor sharp, slicing through the kindness of the day. I know you think everyone's going to love you and your little parade, but you can't erase the past. Kelly felt her anger flare, her muscles tensing like a bowstring. But just as quickly, she remembered Jake's bright eyes, the laughter surrounding her. I'm not here to erase anything, Melanie, she said, voice firm. I'm here to build something new, something better. Jake stood beside her, gaze fierce. We love this town. Benny loves this town. You can't stop us. The clamor of the crowd shifted again, eyes darting back and forth. Kelly noticed a few nods of approval from people who had been silent till now. Melanie took a step back, her expression faltering just a bit. Just wait, there's always a price to pay, she shot back, her eyes narrowing in a way that spoke of unresolved conflicts. Kelly felt the chill of her words seep in. You don't have to be alone in this, she replied, softer now, almost pleading. We can all move forward together. In a heartbeat, the atmosphere shifted again. She could see others nearby nodding, as if they had just noticed the courage blossoming between her and Jake. Mr. Thompson moved closer, his expression one of resolve. Maybe it's time to stop holding on to old grudges, Melanie, he said, throwing a supportive glance at Kelly. A deep silence settled over the crowd as they were momentarily struck by the heavy question. Kelly's heart raced. Was she really ready for this? Did they all really want a different outcome? In the pauses that followed, she could hear the distant sound of laughter, lighter and free. The whispers of curiosity rippled through the crowd. Now they were waiting to see how this would unfold, how this clash of past and present would resolve. Who knows? She thought, a hint of excitement bubbling within her. Maybe today could truly help change everything. As Benny trotted back with a butterfly perched on his nose, Kelly felt hope lift her spirit. Maybe the parade itself was just the beginning. The question echoed in her mind. Could Melanie really change too? But just as that thought settled in, the sky darkened, clouds rolling in ominously. A storm was brewing. How would they steer through this, and would they find a way to unite instead of divide? The first drops of rain began to patter against the ground, light at first, but quickly gaining momentum. The vibrant atmosphere of the fundraiser began to fray at the edges as people instinctively reached for umbrellas and huddled under tents. Kelly felt her heart skip a beat. Just when she thought they had built some momentum, nature threw a wrench in their plans. Mom, what if the parade gets canceled? Jake's voice shook slightly. He tugged at her sleeve, his hopeful smile faltering under the growing gloom. It won't, Kelly said, though uncertainty gnawed at her. We'll just keep going. She looked back at the crowd, the murmurs blending with the sound of the rain. But Melanie stepped forward, finishing what the storm was starting. See? Exactly what I said, she declared triumphantly. You're all wasting your time. You expected a cute little party, and look, it's falling apart. The crowd stiffened, shifting uncomfortably under the darkening sky. Kelly felt a pang of desperation settle in her chest. Did they really want to give up? One of the volunteers, a woman Kelly recognized from the local bakery, finally spoke up. No, we want to keep this going. Her voice rang with determination. If anything, this might bring us together even more. Those words tethered Kelly to hope. Exactly. It might be rainy, but that doesn't mean we can't make a splash. She lifted her chin, buoyed by the unexpected encouragement. As she looked back at Jake, she could see his skin spark with anticipation, his eyes wide. We could run around in the rain. Benny loves rain. He shouted, his earlier anxiety banished. A ripple of laughter flitted through the crowd. The younger kids, spirited by Jake's words, began to dart between the tents, their squeals of laughter cutting through the tension like a hot knife. It was as if her son had ignited a spark of rebellion against Melanie's shadow. Kelly felt a flood of warmth through her. That's right. We should celebrate. Who cares about a few raindrops? She grinned, letting laughter burst out of her like the sun breaking through clouds. Benny started to dance in circles, splashing through puddles, inviting everyone to join the fun. The villagers exchanged glances, some hesitant, others revealing smiles, and soon a handful of children joined Jake, dashing out into the rain. The crowd began to buzz with excitement again. Come on. Let us make this a parade to remember. Mr. Thompson rallied, joining in. A few adults began clapping, creating an impromptu rhythm that echoed against the rain. Kelly could feel the tide turning. They weren't giving up, not now, not ever. She darted forward, gathering moisture into her lungs as the rain soaked her hair. Let us celebrate what we're building here. Come on, everyone. To her surprise, Melanie was rooted to the spot, her expression a mix of disbelief and something softer, hidden just beneath the surface. See, Melanie? We're not just washed away with the rain, Kelly called out, an earnest challenge in her tone. We're here together. Stronger than ever. But instead of responding, Melanie's eyes flitted over the scene, taking in the joy and unity forming in the midst of her gloom. Would she let her guard down? Could she join in? As Benny bounced through the giggling throng, chasing a few brave butterflies who hadn't sought cover, Kelly felt the promise of something more, something that could heal old wounds. Just as she felt the optimism swell inside her, a crack of thunder rolled across the sky. Will they stand together or let the thunder drive them apart? Kelly wondered. Something pivotal loomed ahead, something deeper than the puddles forming around them. Would the storm be their bond or their downfall? The answer felt tantalizingly out of reach, hanging in the air as the rain poured down, the scene transforming into a dance of chaos and connection. And just then she realized everything rested on this moment. What would happen next? The rain drummed down harder, and the world around them seemed to transform. Parades usually meant sunshine and blue skies, but here, in this downpour, something else was brewing. Laughter mingled with the patter of raindrops like a new kind of music, one that drowned out Melanie's poisonous comments and filled the spaces she used to dominate. Jake tugged Kelly's hand, pulling her further into the fray. Look, Mom, Benny is really having fun. His voice bubbled with energy, and she couldn't help but follow his lead. He was right. Benny was a little whirlwind of joy, spinning and splashing. It reminded her of the small joys that could flourish even in the muck. Let us join him, she shouted over the rain, throwing herself into the swirling sea of children. At that moment, the heaviness in her chest began to lift. She didn't need to be the adult holding everything together. Today was about unity and finding strength among uncertainty. The rhythm of clapping and laughter grew. As more people stepped out from their covers, they began to dance, letting the rain soak through their clothes. Some looked hesitant at first, their expressions caught somewhere between disbelief and wonder, but one by one they dropped their guards. Look at us, shouted Mr. Thompson, his laughter booming as he spun a child around, soaking the little one. We're making a memory. And then, almost inexplicably, she saw Melanie shift. The tightness around her shoulders seemed to relax a fraction, her eyes softening as she observed the unfolding joy. Maybe she was realizing that laughter could cut through more than just rain, it could melt hardened hearts too. Throughout the muddle of feet and laughter, Kelly caught sight of a muddy spot where the grass met the road. Without thinking, she took a running leap, landing with both feet intent on splashing through it. The water erupted around her, sending droplets flying in an arc like fireworks. Jake followed her lead, squealing as he joined in, his high-pitched laughter infectious enough to attract others. Benny barked, blazing a trail after them. More adults couldn't resist the pull, their eyes sparkling as they jumped into the puddles, breaking into whoops of glee. The barrier between the seriousness of adulthood and the whimsy of childhood was dissolving faster than the clouds overhead. Kelly, called a voice through the rain. It was Melanie, stepping tentatively closer, her brows raised in surprise. It was no longer clear if she was there to criticize or to embrace. You're dancing? Celebrating? Just having fun? Kelly replied, then grinned through her rain-soaked fringe. That's what this is all about, Melanie. Empty your umbrella. You'd be surprised what you find when you lighten up. Melanie hesitated but gradually began to lift her umbrella. The sound of a child's laughter broke the tension, pulling her focus to the moment. Just like that, the walls began to crumble. As the storm draped everything in a shimmering veil, that soft shift in Melanie's demeanor caught Kelly's breath. Could this storm be a catalyst for their renewal? The air buzzed with possibility. Would they emerge from this waterlogged celebration different? Perhaps even friends? Another crack of thunder rolled, but instead of fear, it ignited excitement. In that moment, everything felt electric, like hope dancing on the precipice of something real. Let us keep this going, Kelly cried out, her voice rising. This is our chance to unite. Who knows what's left to discover? As the music of joy swelled around her, she felt the tension dissolve. Hope lingered in the air like the sweet scent of rain on earth. Just as that thought settled, she caught sight of Jake grinning at her, his eyes glistening brighter than the heavy skies above. And then came the question that hung in the air, as if the storm itself had posed it. What came next after the rain, after the barriers fell? Would embracing the chaos unveil a new path for them all? And what about the ties that ran deeper, the ones that knit them all together? What would they discover on this journey? Benny raced around, water flying up around him like little stars bursting into existence. His joy was infectious. Kelly laughed as she watched him dart through the laughter and chaos. She felt like a child again, unburdened by the heaviness of adult responsibilities, embraced by the sheer delight swirling in the air. Just then Melanie stepped into the puddle. The hesitation faded from her features, replaced by a tentative smile. As the water sloshed around her feet, she finally dropped the umbrella and a fraction of the weight she'd been carrying for so long. "I can't believe I'm going to say this, but this is actually fun," she yelled, her voice carrying through the rain. Jake cheered, leaping closer to her. "See, Mom? You should try dancing." Melanie hesitated, but then something shifted within her. She joined in, her limbs moving awkwardly at first, but gradually finding rhythm. It was like watching a flower bloom against the storm. Surprising, yet beautifully inevitable. Kelly felt her heart swell. Hope turned to joy as she joined them. They were all together now, lovers of life, splashing through puddles, shaking off worries that had clung to them for far too long. With every splash, laughter boomed and spread, curling up with the steam of the warm rain, creating a warm cocoon around them. As they danced, the rain began to soften. The tempo of the droplets slowed, turning into a gentle melody. Nearby, Mr. Thompson twirled a few children, his laughter echoing like music. Over there, a couple held each other close, letting the world around them fade away. It was pure magic. But then, just as everything felt perfect, the laughter stuttered. A loud crash of thunder rolled through the sky, sending a shiver through the crowd. Everyone looked up, their joy momentarily clouded with worry. Would this rain turn back violent? "Stay together," shouted an elder, rallying the community. The urgency in his voice lit a spark. People glanced around, gathering their children closer, holding hands with friends and strangers. The earlier hesitation gave way to an urgent determination as they formed a larger group. "Remember, together we're strong," Kelly shouted. The words felt like a guiding flame amidst the growing uncertainty. She turned to Melanie, finding a bond between them that hadn't been there before. "This is how we face storms together." Melanie nodded, her eyes glistening with newfound clarity. "You're right. Let us not let fear steal away this moment." With barely a breath, as if the storm itself had taken note, the rain lightened again. A shimmery ray peeked through the clouds. Kelly gasped as the sun's glow sliced through the gray, painting the rainy scene with soft hues of gold. A stillness fell over the crowd, typical in those fleeting moments of awe. It wasn't just a parade anymore, it was a community rediscovering its joy. They stood there in the rain, soaked but glowing, unified in their experience. All the struggles, the heavy words, and the past hurt were slowly fading, washed away with the rain. But with the light returning, another realization crossed Kelly's mind. Could this moment be the start of something deeper? Would they be able to hold on to this unity once the storm had passed? Benny lingered close, his ears perked as if sensing her thoughts. Just then, a flash of light struck, and not from the sun breaking through. The sky brightened with something electric, a surprise that made her heart race with adrenaline and curiosity. What was happening? What would this moment lead to now that they had all taken that leap together? As the glimmer caught her eye, she knew they were on the edge of something extraordinary, and finally, she was ready to step into it. The crowd gasped as a vibrant light pulsed through the clouds, casting a kaleidoscope of colors over them. It felt as if the heavens were unveiling something precious. Kelly squinted into the brilliance, her heart thumping. Benny tugged at her hand, excitement bubbling over. "Mom, look," he shouted, pointing skyward. The shimmering light seemed to dance, swirling like a ribbon caught in a gentle breeze. The rain had momentarily turned to glistening droplets caught in rays of sun, making everything appear ethereal. Melanie stood beside her, eyes wide. "What is that?" she murmured, a mix of fear and wonder in her voice. Kelly couldn't answer. It was too beautiful, too surreal. She felt a tug in her chest, a sense of possibility. As the colors flickered, she noticed the faces around her, wide-eyed and awestruck, the earlier worries completely forgotten. Then, with a sudden gust of wind, the vibrant light burst free from the heavens, plunging toward the ground. It glimmered like an otherworldly firework, illuminating the faces of the crowd. Kids squealed in delight, their innocence igniting the moment with pure joy. "What if it's a sign?" Jake whispered, gripping Melanie's hand tightly. A good one. A hushed silence fell over everyone. They stood transfixed, each heartbeat resonating like a drum, as the light expanded and began to settle among them. It swirled gently, then landed near the edge of the park, just shy of the puddles that had bonded them. Jason, one of the local teenagers, stepped forward, bravely approaching the glowing spectacle. Others gasped, and Kelly felt her breath hitch. She glanced at Melanie. "Should we go?" "Yes, but slowly," Melanie replied, her voice steadier than Kelly felt. Benny took the lead, bounding forward with an infectious grin. "Come on, everybody. It might be magic." As they approached, the light transformed into a playful glow. It seemed as if the air was thick with sparkles, swirling around them like fireflies. Laughter broke out, easing the tension that had hung moments before. The community pressed closer, driven by curiosity, until they stood in a circle around the radiant place beneath the trees. A collective gasp rose as they finally saw what lay nestled among the glimmering hues. A tiny puppy with fur the color of the sun and a gleaming coat that sparkled just as vibrantly as the light around him, was playfully tumbling about, blissfully unaware of the awe he created. He wiggled and rolled, his eyes full of wonder as he basked in the warm glow. Benny squealed, "Look at him. He is so cute," and darted forward. The moment Joey, the puppy, spotted Benny, he hopped up, eyes alight with pure joy and curiosity. Kelly couldn't help but smile, her heart swelling with warmth. This little creature had somehow brought together this community, making them forget their worries, if only for a moment. The world outside faded. There was only the laughter of children and the joyful chaos of puppies. As Melanie took a step closer, she bent down to pet the little fur ball. "I think he wants to play with us," she said softly, a grin blooming on her face. Just like that, the barriers between them dissolved further. The puppy was a bridge, a soft, furry invitation to rediscover connection. But as time passed, a deeper question lingered in Kelly's mind. What did this puppy symbolize for them? Was it just a moment? Or was it promising something more? The playful creature darted back to Benny just as another flash of light echoed through the clouds, brighter this time, as if beckoning them toward fate. Curiosity bubbled anew within her. What would this little puppy teach them about love and unity? What unexpected journey lay ahead? And there, as laughter echoed and hearts opened, Kelly wondered, ready to follow wherever this adventure might lead. Benny knelt down, hands outstretched, and the puppy raced toward him, tiny paws skittering across the wet grass. His fur gleamed in the sunlight, and for a brief moment, the chaos of the world melted away. Kelly felt her heart lift, watching her son's face break into a joyful grin. "His name is Joey," offered Jason, trying to keep up with the whirlwind of energy that Benny had become. "He is so friendly. Everyone should meet him." The crowd, transfixed by the puppy's antics, surged forward. Each child wanted a turn to pet him, giggles mingling with the sound of thunderous paws. Kelly felt warmth washing over the group, an unspoken bond tightening the air around them, a reminder of childhood delight and shared love. Melanie turned to Kelly, her eyes sparkling. "He is so full of life. It's like he was meant to be here." "Maybe he is," Kelly replied, the thought lingering in her mind. Was this little creature sent to bring them together just when bonds felt strained by adult worries? As if sensing the profound connection being formed, Joey bounded back and forth, darting between companions like a shimmering spark igniting joy. Each time he nuzzled against a child's leg or playfully pounced on a fallen leaf, the crowd let out collective gasps of laughter, an innocent reminder of the beauty found in simple moments. But just as laughter rang out, a shadow fell across the gathered faces. Kelly's heart sank when she realized the sky above had darkened again. The shiny, vibrant light that had burst from the clouds was fading, being swallowed by a cloak of gray. A cool breeze whispered through the park, putting an uneasy chill in the air. "What is happening?" Benny whispered, still crouched beside Joey, who remained blissfully unaware of the shift in atmosphere. I'm not sure," Kelly said, her voice trailing off. She felt an instinctive urge to shield her son, to protect this moment. But could they hold on to this happiness? Or was it already slipping away? Melanie frowned, looking back toward the sky as the clouds churned ominously. "Maybe it means something, Kelly. Like he came as a sign that we need to stick together. We can't let things tear us apart, especially not now." The words stirred something within Kelly. She nodded slowly, realizing the community's spirit had indeed shifted. Like the puppy, they needed to embody resilience and connection. Suddenly, Joey bounded toward the swirling storm looming above, barking as if challenging the darkness. The crowd gasped again, but Kelly couldn't help but laugh. Look at him. He is so brave. A few adults exchanged nervous glances, but Benny jumped up, clapping his hands. Go Joey. Woof. Woof. As if sensing their doubts, the puppy turned to the crowd, eyes shining with an encouragement that seemed to transcend his tiny frame. In that moment, something shifted, a gentle reminder that they were all in this together. Joey had ignited hope, sparking realization among the adults that even in uncertainty, they could find strength as a community. Just then, a roar of laughter erupted as a kid stumbled in the grass, causing a chain reaction that sent others tumbling down. The tension melted away into an explosion of playful chaos. Kelly's heart felt full. But just as they celebrated this bond, another flash of light burst forth from the clouds, brightening the dimming sky once more, like a beacon of what was to come. What is that? Benny asked, wide-eyed. With each flickering ray it felt like a promise. But what secret did it carry? Kelly looked around, hope swirling in her chest, ready to discover what else awaited them. Could this puppy lead them to unexpected lessons about love and community amidst uncertainty? What other surprises might unravel in the days ahead? As the puppy bounded through the gleaming puddles, the laughter and joy enveloping Kelly and the crowd reached a crescendo. Joey, a vibrant flash of gold and enthusiasm, had somehow united the town in the midst of chaos. Beneath the rolling clouds, something more significant was happening. Hope was pushing through like shoots of grass breaking through cracked concrete. Look at him go, Kelly exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with delight as she joined in the playful spirit, her heart lightening with each beat. The laughter of children rang out, echoing like a sweet symphony, sweeping away the remnants of doubt and fear. Melanie, who stood at her side, smiled for the first time since the storm rolled in. I didn't realize how much we needed this, she admitted, her voice soft but bright. The earlier weight of rivalry faded like the rain, and Kelly felt their connection deepen. With every cheer and shout, kids flung themselves into the celebration, running after Joey and Benny, their laughter merging into a beautiful cacophony. Adults began to join in too, some tentatively at first, but soon allowing the joy to overshadow shyness as they leaped through the puddles, splashing water and shaking off their adult burdens. But another rumble of thunder broke through the revelry. The sky darkened again, an inconsistent reminder that the storm hadn't fully dissipated. Kelly glanced up nervously, but the glimmer of Joey's exuberance drew her focus back to the joy radiating from the little dog. A rhythmic clapping arose as some of the older children began to dance, spinning and twirling around in the rain's embrace. The familiar sensation of community blossomed anew, the fears from earlier fragments dissolving in explosive laughter. Let's South keep the parade spirit going, shouted Mr. Thompson, his voice booming above the noise. Who needs sunshine to celebrate? Yeah, Jake added, suddenly a miniature captain of chaos. His enthusiasm was contagious, igniting a chain reaction that swept through the crowd. They began chanting Benny and Joey, as tiny arms waved and rallied around their new friends, caught up in the exhilaration. With a spark of courage, Kelly stepped forward, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Let us show the storm what we're made of, she shouted, her voice resonating with clarity. We can create our own sunshine. The crowd erupted in cheers, a chorus of renewed spirits. Kelly felt the warmth of hope radiate in every heart surrounding her. Joey and Benny have shown us that love and laughter can conquer even the heaviest storms, she added, a warm smile blooming across her face as she watched the townsfolk rally around their love for the two spirited puppies, whiskers twitching and tails chasing. As some mothers raised their phones to capture the moment, Kelly took a deep breath and looked at Melanie. Can we acknowledge how incredible this feels? Together we can create a shift. Melanie nodded, her expression softening. Maybe there's room for more than just rivalry. Maybe we can build something beautiful here. With every jubilant bounce and joyous bark, obstacles seemed to fade. The cloud's darkness was no match for their light. Kelly reached for Melanie's hand, feeling the tremor of vulnerability course through both their spirits, which had long been weighed down by old wounds. They stood together now, united in a common purpose. As a gentle rain continued to cool the air and shimmered beneath vibrant rays of light pouring through the clouds, Joey darted back toward them, barking for attention. With a rainbow appearing just beyond the horizon, it felt as if even the heavens were rejoicing. Someone broke into a joyful rendition of If You're Happy and You Know It, and soon everyone joined in, the townspeople forming a chorus of acceptance and anew filled with light. As they sang together, the camaraderie seeped into every heart, a firm reminder that transformation was tangible when they embraced one another. And as the last lines reverberated through the air, Kelly caught sight of a smile spreading across Melanie's face, and she realized it wasn't just about the puppies. It was about the community, the joys of life's simplest pleasures, and the heartbeats becoming one. In that moment, under the fading storm clouds lit by the promise of sunshine, everyone embraced what the future held. A bond as vibrant as the colors of life unfurled before them, showing that even amidst the rain, joy could flourish. Benny and Joey leapt and bounded together, turning endless circles symbols of hope and the sheer will to believe. Memories of laughter and love anchored their hearts, and amid the celebration, Kelly knew that what they found here was more than just friendship. It was a family. With a heart bursting with gratitude, Kelly whispered, "We can do this together." As the sun began to break free, she realized that all it took was a little puppy to ignite the change they all so desperately needed. And now they marched forward, ready to embrace their journey, united in hope and love. Now don't you dare look away from this moment. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on the next incredible stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and comment your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together we can spread the love.